While the rest of the peanut gallery is looking at this recent Bitcoin crash, today I'm going to bring you some pretty tough to swallow information about what the actual outlook is for a Bitcoin strategic reserve here in the United States. There are many, many things that have left on the table undiscussed about how much actually needs to happen to see this go down, and give you my general prediction on when something like this could actually come about. Some of the catalysts that need to go off in the background in the US economy to cause such a cataclysmic shift. Not a small thing we're talking about here, and a very, very problematic signal coming out about 2026 that's going to play into my general profit taking plan. Welcome, one, welcome all to the show. Blockchain Basement on Discover Crypto. We focus on God, country, family, and crypto. That is not pandering. That's literally what I am. Got this comments. The peanut. Some people in the comments are so disgusting. They can't imagine that someone is actually interested in their family and in God. It blows my mind. Here I am. I'm here to bring the truth. And make sure to follow me on all my socials. I got a show going on that right before this show on the arena, and I actually saw some basement OGs coming over to the arena. Click the link in the description for that if you want to come join me on the Avalanche SocialFi platforms. But here's me on the TradFi platform, X, Twitter, at Druth Crypto. All my handles are the same. I will never DM you about crypto. Opinions are my own. Get off my lawn. At Druth Crypto. Never always look and see if there's any wonkiness to the name. I've been getting hit up about people accepting invitations from fake accounts from me. So just please do be careful about that. Now, I found this quite pleasing. Waking up and seeing Bitcoin finding some juice out of that buy block. We've left here at about 111,000, 112,500. And you know, the title today, a lot of people will come at me and be like, why are you so bearish? Honestly, I think it's bullish. The longer the US government ignores Bitcoin, the better entry points I can get. Keep it on the sidelines for as long as humanly possible because the system is broken outside of it and it has nowhere to go but into a digital economy, a digital transfer of value, thus Bitcoin being the base layer for really the future of money as we know it. It's just not here yet. And the longer it takes to get here, the better my bags will look when it actually arrives. Let's check out the chat. What up, Crypto Stevo? Drew's spanking. He was bad. Isaac is literally in the next room over from me with Owen, those unhinged young men building things. Ricky, Flippa, Frank, good morning. Huck, Jesse, Stephen Jones up in the Disco chat, Freedom for Crypto. Renee Montenegro. Oh, Jesus. There he is. See, and he hears his name, so he's like, coming in here talking. Say,
what's up, suckers? Just want to say what's up. I see Nick Dunn, Alexander G, Shake and Bake. If Crypto Steve ever comes in here, Steve, I love you. Fucking band. Zachary Martin, Matt and Liz, all the people. Hey, look, Crypto Steve was in there. You're banned.
All right, I'll do the bidding for him since he's out there.
You are banned!
Stuff here. And, it's been a while since he's been able to unleash that rage that he feels against Crypto Stevo. But I will say this, Crypto Stevo, one of the best out there when it comes to research for keeping it real in crypto. And you are, see if I can catch you. The chat's moving kind of fast here. There we go. There we go, buddy. Good to see you, Crypto Stevo. Now, I did find joy in the Bitcoin chart this morning. Finding a bounce point out of the buy block that I expected to see made me happy. There is work still to be done. Work still to be done on this Bitcoin price action. Something, just in the midterm, we had market open. We pushed down into market open and then found those bids. Watching out for this 113 flat spot for some proving ground would be structurally, logical. Just seeing this general price action, not just a flat bounce back up and this coming out on the hourly ended up looking like a V-shaped recovery. This is more of a choppy, sloppy recovery that I expected to see out of Bitcoin at this price, but I'm here for it. A lot of these things, these washouts and kind of resetting of excitement and exuberance in the market actually, in my opinion, is extending this market to a point in 2026, but 26, I think, is going to have a reckoning for a lot of different industries. And, I'm thinking very, very concisely about where to park the value that I'm gained in crypto and altcoins, because where you park your money matters a lot. We've lost 10% in the dollar in the last year. it's moving down quick in terms of buying power. So these are some of the, people might yawn and look at a Fed balance sheets, and with stagflation just seems like this random word on a Fed balance sheet, but it actually matters quite a bit. Let's check you out. Ricky Romero, I see your comment here. Bam. All right, dude, recently been buying some Tau, bullish on it. Can it hit Bitcoin's market cap given the total supply is 21 million? What is your take on it? No, I don't think Tau to $2.3 trillion in market cap is a reasonable target. Tau, let's just talk through this together. Let's just talk through this together. Okay. So first of all, where are we at in the general market flow? I'd say we're approaching a parabolic hockey stick moment for a lot of alts, and general upside of Bitcoin to about, my range on the current velocity is about 150 to $200,000, being that, 4-year cycle peak. Where we're at right now, we're having to come back down on the monthly, prove this as support. 200 to 150 really isn't too far away for Bitcoin. But given that, I'm thinking that Bitcoin can hit $3 to $4 trillion market cap in total, right? Now, the power and concentration of market cap to the top 5 coins historically has remained very, very high. This is shown where things are at right now, 2.2 trillion Bitcoin. Then it goes all the way down to 500 billion, which is about a fifth of what Bitcoin's market cap is what Ethereum is, right? And then you go to a fourth of what Ethereum is what XRP is. And it starts to get very, very concentrated in terms of size of market caps. Now, where Tau is currently is in an aggressive position. I think that there is good upside. It's at number 38, right? And it's got the mind share being pushed forward by the likes of Barry Silbert and good tokenomics, good narrative of constant AI rollouts. So I don't think that the AI investments or finding upside in different crypto related AI projects is done per se, but it is going to be very, very concentrated on long-term winners. That's my general thesis on AI, crypto projects in particular. Now, BitTensor is at a $3.1 billion market cap. Now, a project of this size, I really could see BitTensor getting, a diminished expectation is a 3x on the general market cap from where it sits right now. It's got good tokenomics. So, right around like 1,000, maybe up to $1,500 BitTensor Tau, something that we could see. See the comments, Matthew, angry about the rage bait, Bitcoin reserve canceled. Well, it makes you wonder, right? I'm seeing some reports that make me wonder. This is why, folks, we have US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The audit for it is now 172 days overdue. Donald Trump's ordered audit of crypto assets intended for Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile is now overdue by 172 days. You notice there's been quite a lot of focus on obviously necessary cultural things going on. The United States is dealing with quite a bit, and not to think negatively about this administration either, because we are only 9 months into this administration. Kind of struck me and my wife last night. We're sitting here thinking about just the state of where everything is. 9 months into Trump's presidency, we've already seen quite a bit accomplished, especially with that announcement with RFK Jr. and Trump earlier in the week. That's a battle that me and my wife have been fighting directly. But, we are only 9 months in. There's a lot to do. But the Bitcoin reserve, this is a massive, massive change to what we know backing the US dollar. And this review that was supposed to be to inspect the crypto holdings of current federal agencies, what's been seized so far. This is due on April 5th. After Trump issued his executive order, there have been no announcements, though, from the Treasury site or Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent or the crypto czar David Sachs or even Trump himself, if there's indication that a review has taken place, further detracting the hopes of strategic crypto reserves, right? These include IRS and Criminal Investigation Branch, all the agencies that need to report back on this. But they are quite late in reporting the state of where our reserves are right now in terms of what's been seized. And there is a lot of question in my mind if this is going to be at the top of Trump's thought process as we see things that Trump is posting like this. Okay, there's a slight distraction. Look at what he's talking about here. He says, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it's causing to Russia, he thinks Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, aka this is going to turn into NATO, is in a position to fight and win with all Ukrainians back to its original form, with time and patience, the financial support of Europe, in particular NATO, there it is, original borders from where the war started, is very much so an option. Why not? Trump has a full docket, and that is saying it lightly. And now we see even a potential shift back towards generalized support of the Ukrainian NATO relationship pushes this conversation back even further. And now, just a general synopsis, it's not a simple thing instituting a Bitcoin reserve. Let's look at what we're dealing with. So, you have legal and congressional challenges. The executive order relies on seized assets currently, but expanding this reserve via direct purchases of Bitcoin as proposed in the Bitcoin Act. This is the Cynthia Loomis sponsored S4912 Bitcoin Reserve Act. This is the act that they were trying to put forward to actively buy Bitcoin as a country, the United States, not just to gloat about what we've seized so far, right? And I think that that's where a little bit of the disconnect, and we've kept those, I mean, the constant bullish headlines about these strategic reserves being created. It's basically just three-letter agencies sitting on seized Bitcoin, right? The reserve and the actual movement of this and changing the dynamics of how the US dollar is performing would include a transfer of some assets that we currently hold as back in the US dollar into Bitcoin. And this is where the lack of clarification on where is the gold at, how much gold is in Fort Knox, none of those things have been done. Why have they left gold at a valuation of $42 this whole time? On the charts, it's going parabolic. It's about to hit $4,000 a piece instead of an $8 billion balance value that you've left it at because you're valuing it at $42 an ounce. It'd be at around $1 trillion. Why are they not switching that up? Questions can be asked. Now, all of this Bitcoin Act, it requires congressional approval, which lacks broad support. Crypto, let's face it, it's a partisan issue right now. It is not bipartisan support for Bitcoin to be moved in as a strategic reserve. It's largely looked at as a play by Trump and his adversaries, who obviously, as you can see on the outside, will stop at nothing to shut him down, to silence him via online sources, online places like what X was previous. Twitter, Trump was banned off of, right? We're in a completely different paradigm in terms of communication ability for the president, but still there is a partisan anger that boils on the other side from the left, vice versa on the right. It's a very partisan issue. And this is going to take some time for these two factions to come together and come to any sort of agreement when it comes to what the actual back in the US dollar is going to be. It's a very, very big thing that I think we need to be cognizant of. It obviously highlights that political divide here. Financial market volatility risks. Now, the volatility risks are already there. It can be argued. The volatility on commercial real estate. Buildings in Denver are selling for 3% of their original sale value, right? We are seeing commercial real estate holdings on banks absolutely be bludgeoned. They look like rugs. There is financial intervention that's happened with the bank short-term funding program, the BTFP, that rolled out in 2023 that stopped 200 banks from going insolvent and put a band-aid over the bullet wound. But those sicknesses still exist in the background, right? The sicknesses still are basically involved in the background. And if I was the US government, just war gaming this whole situation, obviously you got the conflicts going overseas. You have a lot of things culturally and on a healthcare side that you're trying to address. Bitcoin Reserve is on the mind, but is it on the docket? Man, I think it's going to have to wait a little bit. I would actually be looking at the middle of Trump's presidency and really what this means in terms of long-term movement here. You know, I'm still looking at that 150 to 200 zone, but then watching out for a 50% dip on Bitcoin. I do believe that Bitcoin will fall back. I think that a lot of countries that are trying to front run the United States right now as Bitcoin is above 100K. If I were the US, I would talk about it. Everyone's on the sidelines like, "Ooh, we're going to do it. We're going to do it first, right? We're going to sell on the Americans' heads." And then, we're going to hold off a little bit on this, a little bit of economic uncertainty. Bitcoin falls, buy up the floor 27, 2028, and then have the Bitcoin reserve actually started and moving by 2030. That's just my general thesis on this. Some people may disagree. They may say that no, this bill, the S4912, is so good for all of us. And this is why the Democrats and Republicans are going to hold hands. They're going to sing Kumbaya and they're going to sign off on it. Now, that is just a choice for myself. Do I think that that's an actual reality? Or do I think that the TDS, I think is what they call it, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is going to continue to exacerbate as he remains in power, even remains showing effective movements on other issues like the border, immigration enforcement, a lot of other issues that there are big pieces of support within his political faction for. And really, right now, I'm very split politically. Honestly, like, Trump, I can acknowledge he's done a lot of really good things. I didn't sit there and grope and whine when Biden was in his position. I just voted for who I am. But the main vote I make is by housing my money in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has the longer out term look. Now, someone that has an even longer and more bullish outlook than me is clearly Michael Saylor. He's come out potentially talking about Bitcoin growing 10 times larger than gold. A recent interview, Saylor predicted that the world's largest cryptocurrency could grow 10 times the size of gold, which is at 20 plus trillion dollars right now. We're talking about $100 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. What he's talking about eyeing. The statement reflects his long-standing conviction that Bitcoin will become the dominant global store of value. This is something that over the course of like 50 years, as commerce moves completely automated, I think that there is a potential that Bitcoin could absolutely eclipse gold in that nature. Now, is that a fever dream, Bitcoin price? Yes. Okay. $1 million Bitcoin comes in at around $20 trillion market cap. Now, $5 million Bitcoin, I could see something like that going on 2040s. I'll probably be very old by the time that happens. But seeing the general movement of how commerce is working, it's not just the bull posting and who's the most bullish on crypto Twitter that can move this price, or Michael Saylor bull posting, buying the tops, using the mechanism of what traditional finance is right now to take loans out for even more Bitcoin. He's taking advantage of the way the system is to establish a reserve of a value that does not continually inflate in its supply, which is Bitcoin. Now, the longer term out this is, I think Bitcoin is the black hole that's going to absorb what we know is value, except for commodities, things that we really rely on across the world. I think the derivatives markets, I think a lot of these, kind of paper created leverage systems that Wall Street and banks use right now, they're going to have to integrate. They're going to have to integrate. And I think that's why we see more of the focus in on stable coins and how we can move to a government involved DeFi application, right? That is something crazy to think about. Now, this kind of crazy. We've seen some SBF news, right? We've seen some SBF news come out. SBF, for anyone that didn't know, he tweeted out from his jail cell, "Good morning." Now, my first question is, why the hell does this guy have a phone? Like, he created one of the biggest fraud rug pulls in financial history. And apparently he's gotten at least momentary access to a cellular device. This man, though he looks unassuming, this fuzzy hair, his insane haircut, can do some van damage from a phone. Take that to the bank. Okay. He's what do they call it? Altruist? Is that the name of it? I almost went the other word because that's been on my mind. Where did this guy get a phone? Stop this man from having a phone. For the love of God, please no. Now we also see FTX. New management is suing Bitcoin miner Genesis Digital. And the assets for 1.515 rather billion dollars. That's a chunk of change, $1 billion. FTX Recovery Trust claims that the former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, who I just showed you, used misappropriated customer funds to invest in the company, Genesis Digital Assets. So some leftover funding that might have fallen into the hands of Sam Bankman-Fried and maybe the not most legal of ways being called into question. It was very odd to see the lack of disavowalment. Many politically elected leaders that are currently in their position of power received money that was fraudulently begotten by Sam Bankman-Fried. You really didn't hear much about it. It just goes to show you there is there's a real lack of justice in this world, and this is why crypto. Drewy isn't in real jail. He's in a hotel style resort wing of the jail. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Preferential treatment. And then, some of Sam Bankman Fried's lore, I think, does need to be discussed. After going through this massive collapse in crypto and everything that Sam had done to the industry to push it back, it is to be noted that FTX was given a no action relief review by the SEC. They were called into question. The SEC looked at it and gave them what's called a no action relief, which essentially means we're going to close our eyes and address this in 3 or 4 years, right? It is concerning to me to think back and know that an entire infrastructure of what's built to protect investors gave no action relief to the future leader of a near $14 billion fraud, right? Ending him in jail. Absolutely crazy. It just goes to show you, yeah, you can have, agencies that have fancy names and they say they're going to protect you, just kind of like the Patriot Act, right? Instead, the Patriot Act just basically ripped the Constitution to pieces. They can be labeled one way, and the real results often end up very, very different than how things are labeled from a political standpoint. Then, with all this, someone in the thread guy, bro, saw Aster and said, F it, I'm coming back. Potentially, right? And with his little head popping itself out of the ground, we saw FTT have its second scam wick to the upside here. I do got to go look at FTT, the chart. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. This is something that I was like, a few years ago, I was like, I hope I never see this chart with the scam wick pumps again. Here it is. It's happening, as DZ showed. And I remember we covered, there was a little bit of rumblings from some, I think, FTT / Alameda wallets. A little bit of activity on the wallets here preceding this pump. And then now we have GMGM pumping FTT at the peak by 45% and now trying to show. I mean, this is just so disgusting. It makes me want to puke looking at this. People are very, very fearful as well, understandably so. With 39 on the fear and greed index, more investors feeling fearful than bullish at the time being. As what's next? DCA, Do Kwon going to release the DEX on Luna, right? They all see all the juice happening on decentralized exchanges, finally being able to operate, all the fees that they can gain from them. And then they it just all come out from the woodworks. Man, crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened. I'll go through the chat here and give it your guys' sentiment. Are you excited to see Sam Bankman-Fried popping his little freaking name back on our crypto Twitter timeline, or does it terrify you? Does it bring PTSD up? Right? I mean, this is the collapse of Celsius, massive amounts of value lost in the blink of an eye, a black eye on crypto for years to come. And now the same actors are starting to pop their head out again. Is it good or bad? I'm so Sideshow, Sardine, Pocket Bankman-Fried had a stash. Yeah, the stash of Sam Bankman-Fried and his Solana he is sitting on probably. That scares me. The amount of Solana that dude could access, right? I know. Get him back in his cell. Absolutely. Do Kwon coming back. We got to go check out Kita chart. I know we looked at it yesterday after the mainnet launch. It did not look good. So let's go check out the Kita chart. Then before I move on, Ricky Romero, I want to make sure I do that for you here. Let's see. Still pulling back. Jeez Louise. Good googly moogly. Where's this? Hold on. There we go. This is what we need for this one. Oh, little sad sounds. 91 cents down to 77. Is this the bounce spot though? Very, very low if you're looking at it in terms of where it's been during the month. It's almost as low as it was at its lowest point this month. 1 year still looks uppity. You know, general price, I mean, it looks generally healthy. You know, I mean, you have a rollout of a main net. You have a lot of early adopters with bigger bags that, you know, don't have a problem selling into 70 cents. Thing was accumulated by the insides by like 14 cents. Not a bad entry, right? I mean, in this, I always complain about chasing green candles. This one, I'm not necessarily viewing it that way. It's a newer project that's probably not going to fall too sick to inflationary pressures within this cycle. As I repeat, I am not marrying any of the altcoins that I'm picking up right now. I will have a moment of Gitimus Maximus returning and dumping them once I see them performing decently well against Bitcoin, right? That's the whole play here. More Bitcoin, pad out the Bitcoin bags. Now, this was just notable side acknowledgement here for the liquidations happening. This chart or this, I can't deal with this. What is going on with Decrypt? They're going absolutely berserko here. You know what? This is a scandal. We're going to go to Coin Glass. We're just going to go to Coin Glass and get the data ourselves, right? Let's just go get the data ourselves. I'll open this bigger, make this like this. Boom. Let's see what we got here. Oil lost thousands. Man, I've been getting beat up on stop losses, that's for sure. But I'm still snooping around, and I think actually looking at that buy block on Bitcoin is reasonable. Bouncing off there. Let's look at Bitcoin first and foremost on liquidity. Let's see. They should call it liquidity. Now that Sam is in with P. Diddy, they got to call it liquidity. Let's see here. There's even more. I mean, the constant bets against it, man. They're trying to, the disbelief is real. The disbelief on Bitcoin is real. Now let's go check out ETH. Let's see here. One of my mans got rugged. What is this? Where is this? Anywhere in here get rugged by modular EMDR? No, not me. Maybe I'll check out that rug after this. Let's go check out the liquidations on ETH though. Getting rugged is never fun. Getting rugged, never fun. Let's see. Yeah, looking upside on ETH too. Look at that. People are betting against the rally. People are betting against their rally pretty hard on the larger time frames right now. Making me bullish. Making me bullish. The disbelief is real. Liquidity, baby. Let's check out the pump chat. Check them out. How they're doing it. Yeah, the pump chat, that was a crazy. I didn't even sell any of those tokens, and people that got in early before we bonded just G'd the hell out of it. So I'm just holding the baseline. I'm going to keep streaming. Just keep going. Right? That's what they always say. This Ethereum slid by 20%. Why did whales just bet $1 billion on a rebound? Institutions dumping ETH was shown by Weimar. Market makers like Wintermute and Flow traders were purchasing millions of ETH from Binance. BlackRock sold about 15 mil in ETH. Meanwhile, the total ETF in outflows for Ethereum surpassed nearly $80 million in 24 hours. That's a pretty big walkout of the door, led by Fidelity and Bitwise, 55 million combined with just those two. That's something to take note of. Now, analysts predict more chop. Price of Ethereum approaching 4,000. And, we fell down to about $4,100. I think it was. ETH, the general chart on it is just so flatline and sleep. I was showing this on the arena earlier today, but look at a comparison of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even AVAX on the 15-minute, I think are good comparisons. This is Ethereum on the 15-minute. Very, very, very flat. It had the washout dang near to $4,000 flat. It is fighting for its right to party. Bitcoin is fighting for its right to party much, much harder at the moment being, and we are even pumping a little bit more than we were at the beginning of the show as things are sitting. This is the Bitcoin to 15-minute chart, and then the ETH 15-minute chart. You can see major differences there, and then the Avalanche to 15-minute time frame looks the best of all. So it's a mixed bag on what's pumping right now. The general landscape has a lot to make up ground for, though. Let's go look at it. Go look at all of it here. So Bitcoin doing fine, ETH doing fine. Solana's down to about 214. But look at this, BNB holding above $1,000. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, yes, and we gotta cover Aster. We gotta go look at Aster. I mean, this is look at it. CZ decides to wake us up with this. Take a break from Aster and BNB and do one of these. Talking about two coins at extreme all-time highs. Goal is for proper plank before the age 50. Or is this planche or plank? Can't do it yet, just starting. Health is wealth. I think he could definitely hold this longer than me, right? Like this looks difficult to do for me, especially right now that my freaking neck is like broken. Shout out to CZ. Let's go actually look at Aster. So Aster pumped up to about $2.40. It is obviously very, very new, so I don't have much data on this other than holy mother of pump lord. But worth noting that the so far point of control, the most volume happened at $1.60. So when I see something like this, I have very minimal data other than where the major points of transactions have happened at. I'll set a little level here. I'll leave my line here at $1.60. If I can find an entry around that zone, fine. DCA into it a little bit. Just be careful. Just being careful. Don't want to be chasing waterfalls, chasing extreme pumps, and then end up dumping by 30% the next day because it's been really, really hot. This is just, I see things that excite me. Astro excited me. I had to cover it immediately because Binance or CZ rather rarely focuses on projects like that. And it is where it is now. I mean, it's been crazy. So congrats on the profits. Profits are great to have in this market. Just be careful because as we make these profits, it's about how we hold on to them. And individual invest cash levels are at extreme lows. This is a Kobayashi letter. Retail investors' allocation to cash is 16.5% in August, one of the lowest readings in 4 years. This has fallen by about 3.2 points since April, so it's a pretty steep decline in a short amount of time. By comparison, the long-term average has been about 22% since 1987. Individual investors now hold 67.3% in stocks, just below the June 2024 multi-year peak of 70.5%. They also hold 16.2% of their capital in bonds, roughly in line with readings over the last 4 years. Retail investors are all in on this market. Now, there's not much juice to be sloshed back and forth between retail investors, but there clearly is some interest in Aster. And, some of the lore behind this Yeezy Labs intrigues me. Yeezy Labs, this was Binance Labs. Now they're known as Yeezy Labs. They're not a small organization. They might be taking an interest in Plume Network. So this would be very bullish for the Plume bags, obviously. But there are a good grip of projects that Yeezy Labs is invested into over the past few years. And here they are. You have Aster, you have Hemi, Velvet Capital, Meet 48, Avalon Labs, Gata, Plume Network here, Vanna, Blum, Sign, Athena Labs, ENA, the Athena, right? A couple others, Bio Protocol, usual. So this is kind of a pretty interesting list for me. Just to keep note of is we see one major success come out of the vein of Yeezy Labs involvement and CZ bull posting about it. General alt season really starting to bloom up. I mean, BNB is at all-time highs. XRP is coiling up just under all-time highs. Ethereum coiling up right under all-time highs. Bitcoin coiling up under all-time highs. This market is still very, very bullish for the top 10 projects. Now, obviously, some of them in the top 100 are doing moves, as we saw, just like Aster. It's like number 30 or something like that. But the real move for altcoins, those top 20 to top 400, has not happened yet. So looking at these lists right now, yes, wonky, highly volatile, but when I see potentials like these, I'll take small allocations and get just a snippet of exposure, see where the juice is going, and then make the decision if I want to lean into them more or start to pull out. Now, we do have some whale moves happening on Aster in particular. A whale just withdrew 9 million tokens worth $20 million from Gate.io, taking them off the exchange. Generally a bullish signal, especially given the amount of pump that Aster's already gone through. that wallet thinks that there's even more upside. So Pump worth an entry. We might check out Pump chart. Never pull out crypto Cody. You know what that means?
You are banned.
Never pull out. Well, you know what, crypto Cody, you're getting it today. You're getting it, buddy. Let's see here. Bam. There we go. All right. Now let's go to the next story. We got to go quite a bit of stuff to cover here. MetaMask confirms their token launch. Now it's official that Mask token is coming. No date yet, but keep an eye out on this. MetaMask is a pretty OG wallet. And a lot of people use MetaMask. You know, we dog it because there's faster and sexier systems out there, better, operating systems. Phantom Wallet has really set the bar in terms of expectations. MetaMask, though, is very, very widely used. Very, very widely used. So I will be interested to see what, it's connected to the likes of Joseph Lubin, some old school names with extreme crypto lore. And crazy things can happen when the flywheel of a generalized altcoin season starts to come over, right? We see some crazy things done by organizations we would have never expected their bullish involvement from. And, we got to think about taking profits if things get a little bit heavy here. You got to think about taking profits. Now, Pump Fund, you're asking if it's worth it. I do have a little note on Pump Fund. Apparently, they're paying live streamers like $21 million weekly with 1% of Twitch's market share. First of all, where's my money? Because I've been streaming on there forever and got bonded off there by Alex Becker. So maybe I should try to figure that out. But they have 650 concurrent streams averaging 100 viewers each. Platform deposited 13 billion Pump tokens, 75 million on the Kraken last week, live streaming Pivot, burning cash faster than it can extract it from failed token launches. So this is something like they have very, very strong incentives, right, in terms of creator rewards for any trading that's done to and from on the token that's being streamed upon. I would actually say that the average viewer count is a little bit lower, a lot of it lower than 100, right? The average views, often are, 5, 10, 20, right? The bottom list of it is very small. Then you have a few streams that are like 200, 300 viewers, live concurrent watching onto it. But there is something to be keeping in mind, like what mechanisms Pump Fund will turn over, maybe revenue sharing, something like that, to keep the creator rewards rolling, to keep the incentive going. Let's see here. Yeah, I got the creator rewards, Tony. That was pretty awesome. I mean, the creator rewards created from just Alex Becker watching the stream were absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. It excites me to see the tokenized streamer economy making a shot at it here. Now, we've talked about some of the things that worry me, but this morning I saw Rapid Response come out with a post about economic data looking wonderful. Breaking economic data. This is about new home sales. Let's have a listen to this and see if we agree with the sentiment.
Some breaking economic data coming in much better than expected. New home sales rise 800,000, and the annual rate, the estimate had been for 650,000.
So new home sales hitting 800,000. They expected 600,000 in new home sales. This is a conflicting data point for me because I see things like this where new home sales will be revised sharply lower next month, right? Surge in South new home sales, highest in 4 years, they're saying is an error. It's probably going to be revised lower. All right. And it sucks assuming a scandal, assuming fake data, but this is not the sentiment that I hear from home builders, right? I'm connected to 8,000 different superintendents and project managers here in the United States. Large majority of those are involved with either multifamily real estate building or single family. And things are not looking on the aggregate, right? Maybe I'm, currently in the season where I'm actually looking at a new home, but not everyone is jeeting their entire life savings of dirty fiat into Bitcoin when it's 16K, when it's 4K. All right. I have a different experience economically over the past 5 years than the vast majority of Americans. And when I see the likelihood of this data being revised, I want your guys' opinion. is the home sales data fake, right? Is the home sales data fake? I want your honest opinion. We've seen jobs numbers that didn't make sense come out. I felt like the economy was in the crapper. Middle class people I knew were working contract jobs on top of their W 2 positions to just make ends meet. The average person struggling to make the bills that weren't involved with, crypto or figuring out how to make money in DeFi, things of that nature. I want your honest opinion because I saw some cracks when Pulte, the U.S. Federal Housing Authority lead, came out crashing out against Jerome Powell harder than even Trump was, calling for investigations, calling for all of these forced reductions in interest rates. And it really makes you wonder if it is all just a mirage and they're simply going to cook the books once again in the next few years. Home sales data, definitely fake. As a realtor, I can tell you the buyer to the seller ratio, 50 sellers for every one. That's kind of what I'm getting. Brandy, that was the vibe that I'm getting. And I'm currently in the market for buying a home. And it's like the realtors, the sellers, they're trying to act hard and gather the value of the home that they had on the books a few years ago. And people really aren't budging, right? I'm seeing houses stay on the market for 6 months, sometimes a year, major homes that I expected $1 million for this house 3 years ago. They're having to deal with the fact that no, it's really actually 600, 700 there, Bill. Um, that is something that I think is very, very gamified. And the size of this industry, I think, is underestimated. It's a $120 trillion industry, single family housing in the United States. It's something that I can't see the United States being okay with no growth. I basically think that the US is going to have major incentive to inject liquidity into those industries and get them turning over, be it these artificial Federal Reserve rate interest rate reductions. Because the last pullback on mortgages I saw, I didn't really see a massive pullback in treasuries that would have generally yielded that same type of movement here. Think about how many empty stores you see. Yeah, Boss Sloth commercial is even more fake. No one wants to sell at a loss. Otherwise, they would all start liquidating and prices would go up. And these are the devil in the detail items that I really feel like are worth going over when we understand there will be a time where the markets cannot falsify this data. We see falsified data is forced to be revised and they have to acknowledge what it actually is a few months after it comes out. This is leaving the potential for a decent reckoning, right? And in that reckoning, it really just means that inflation has to continue moving up and growth stalls. Then you have what the dangerous word is, stagflation, admitted by the mainstream media, right? And that's the general vibe that I'm getting. And in that environment, cash buyers are winners, right? If you have cash and you can move in on a 30% haircut in single family over the course of the next few years, you're making major moves. This is how, portfolios that just end up having cash flow to them. This is how I'm aiming to do it, right? And be it maybe rentals, maybe even starting up a business, seeing where the need is, having a stash that I built up in the background in altcoins and Bitcoin. And really, the Bitcoin, I don't even see any logic in selling for these items, but the altcoins, absolutely. Using that capital, absolutely, I can see that. I want to get compared to last year, my dude, it has slowed down. It's going to crash out by 2028, potentially sooner. You buy that's kind of crazy. You can buy Bitcoin through iMessage, just like the jobs data. Yeah, I want your guys' honest opinion, because these are the mainstream media spins that the jobs market is, it's going to recover. And oh, wait, we faked that out. There are 2 million fake jobs. Now we're getting good housing start data. And I'm really kind of doubting that as well. It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. And I think questioning those things is very much within the realm of our abilities here. Now, Clayton wants to work for construction, live in Western Montana. Just from my area where I work and build homes. Homes are sold before they are built. That could be playing into the flock to affordability type thing, because that's kind of what I see. The losses are more concentrated in Democrat cities for whatever reason. If there's a correlation of crime or not there, you can make that decision. But it's like I see investors moving into like places, weird places like Ohio, where they're picking up homes for $50,000, $100,000. They'll flip it, they'll rent it out to someone for 15, 2,000 a month, and creating positive cash flow, right? And I see the success having been done in these weird flyover states because, in my opinion, people are flocking to affordability. They're leaving city centers that have priced them out of a comfortable standard of living, and they're going to places where they can actually find a comfortable existence, right? What is going on with crypto, Stevo? Oh no, you guys are gonna test this Bitcoin over iMessage thing live on air. Oh Lord. All right, let's end the poll. So the blockchain basement folks feel it's 84% likely that this is falsified data. And let's hop on over to Discover and see what the consensus is here. 78% likelihood of falsified data as well. This is actually the closest I've seen the votes be for the basement versus DC. Looks like there's some consensus there. And now, where can we wager on this on Polymarket, right? I think that that's the next question there. Where do we find a place to bet against this housing start data? I wonder if that is a thing. I wonder if that is a thing. So now let's hop on over to the general markets. Let's see who the big winners, the big losers are as things are sitting. Quick check in on Bitcoin. Still cooking nice. Still cooking nice, running into a little turbulence. That's just fine. That's just fine, right? Let's go check out the rest of the projects here. Bam. Aster still leading the charge. God, it's up 1,000%, 1,100% in 7 days. Unbelievable. Flare from the top ropes. Zcash. What are these dinosaurs doing? Immutable X. Aether. God, I haven't thought about Aether in a while. But look at Aether. It's like distributed GPU compute. Definite W pattern. Definite W pattern. I mean, obviously, you'd feel like a genius if you bought 3 cents and doubled up real quick there. Interesting to see Aether coming back. Very interesting to see Aether coming back. Let's keep rolling here. So, EtherFi, Meme Core, Quant. Okay. The reason why, I mean, there's going to be nothing exciting on this chart I'm fearful of, but I'm looking for hope for the quant holders. Okay. I'm looking for hope, a way to break out of this. I mean, this feels like it's gone. We've lost him, Doctor. Right? I need the beep, beep, beep. This is the all-time graph for quant. Been very, very flat for quite some time. Been joking, sadly, that it feels like $100 stable coin. It's $100 stable bill. It's at $103 right now. 98. Never mind. Okay, now. You know what? Let's go look at quant on let's go look at the money flows on. I'm actually, for some reason, I feel like looking at this. For some reason, something's telling me to go look at this. We're gonna go in. All right. UNT. Let's see here. Because it's got, I think it's like 14 million tokens, right? It was pandering to be adopted, be the beloved child of banks, right? Offering layers of privacy so banks can do those backroom deals, but then they'd still be on chain and transparent, right? That's the whole play. This might end up being one of the stronger shorts when the altcoin season ends. This might end up truly dying. I'm sorry. I know it's got all this bullish, design, but the price action is not there. The tokenomics have not helped it. Tokenomic design has not helped it. Let's go look at that flash view. Like, it stayed flat and it's the same market cap compared to price. You don't have that inflationary pressure, but you just have a lack of involvement. It seems like a lack of involvement, right? If I was in a situation where I was holding this, I'm waiting to get something around 130, 140, and then I'm getting right. And that's me personally. So Quantas, I would say XRP has better sentiment than and that is just from like the vibes of the XR people. They're just crazy in love with the project. They feel very weird every time it goes under $3. and it's trying to build a bouncing pad really quite high. I mean, this is, structural support. It built up from $2 270, broke out of that. Now it's trying to build it from basically 280 on up. XRP, I think the price, I can tell, gets very, very aggressive when it falls under $3. But the upside of how much that aggression can get it, I don't think retail has the full ability to move a $170 billion market cap up above $1 trillion. I just don't. But they could probably hype cycle it up and get it to the 300 mark. I see that as something that's likely to occur with XRP. I think XRP has a way more dedicated, chaotic fan base. Drew, which is worse, Polygon or Quant? I mean, I think Polygon probably has Polygon, I would say, has a better ability to bounce or do like a 3x than Quant. Quant just feels like it's on life support and the line is being stepped on. Right. Well, who is stepping on the line? What is stepping on the line? That can be discussed till kingdom come, but something has lost its juice on Quant, right? Polygon, I would actually think can punch back up. Let's go look at Polygon. Let's go look at Polygon. God, we're pouring some liquor out for folks right here. This is sad. Sad. Very sad. Let's see. Am I pulled up here? All right. So Polygon, oh my God, it's still going down. So it's 22 cents. Oh. Who's here? Is anyone here? Right? This is not great. This is not great. And then the amount of layer twos that it's competing against. Like this, like at a 22 cent mark, sure, I could see like you getting out and getting something like 40 cents, maybe even going and playing in this range, 40 to 60 cents. Quant makes it much more difficult for me to say, oh yeah, it's gonna hit its all-time highs, right? Everything's just gonna go to its all-time highs. I can't righteously say that with a straight face. This is an interesting take. Matic has to be the worst large cap to invest in. And that's how quick things change, right? Like I found Polygon last cycle. They don't even have the chart. This thing used to be like a few cents and it went up to $2, $2.30 or something like that. They don't even have that chart anymore. They rebranded. They did away with all that data. So people can't really see just how extremely far Matic / Polygon has fallen since last cycle. And when I see things done like that, it's like, okay, maybe you want to rebrand, or maybe you want to banish yourself from your past and try to move forward, right? Move forward. And that's kind of what Polygon feels. And if you don't see even anywhere close to normalcy after a rebranding like that happened, something went terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. QTO, the Astra of Solana. Let's see here. You know what? I think it might have been Steve-O that was bringing up something like that. I did have it in mind to kind of snoop around on this thing. Let's go. Let's go. Avantis or Aster? That's a hard question. That is a hard question. Let's go on Sol. I want to make sure I pull up the right contract address. I'm going to be careful about this one. I'll make sure that I have the right contract address before I dive into this one, because I don't want to show people, when things happen like this, when the FOMO or the juice starts coming to like a specific sector, you see tons of different projects with essentially the same name get released. I want to make sure. All right, so I found one QTO with a $55 million market cap. Let's see here. Started thinking DAG is becoming dead. DAG better not have died. Jesus, reminded me of a coin I hold. Oh my God, what is going on? Oh, this doesn't look. We never pumped out of the channel. Jesus, thank you for the reminder on this. Thankfully, I'm like still up from the buy point. Jeez Louise. What is going on? Volume down 5%. Let's see here. This would be maddening to see DAG die after all of that government contract work. That would be truly maddening. Truly maddening. Let's see here. You know what I would say? They just released a bunch of these, like the the door's not a new token, but they have been rolling out a bunch of new projects. I wonder if some of the focus has been kind of leaving the, maybe they're getting scope creep with all these new projects coming out. You know what I mean? Maybe they're getting some scope creep on Constellation with all those new projects, because sometimes that's a real thing. Sometimes that's a real thing. Very interesting. God, this is like just a reminder to me, I don't win them all. All right. And even though like the position's still up, that 2 cents, this is lack of velocity while everything else is doing pretty. Yeah, and this is an interesting take from Wispy. Good company, Constellation, but it doesn't always translate to investors. Maybe that's the sickness to investigate. No. Unfortunate. Well, you know what? We're going to see if we can get a return pump on DAG, maybe an escape pump on Quant. I do think Bitcoin is set up pretty nicely. As it's sit right now, it's found some love off of that buy block, that order interest block that I'd been laying out for the past like week or two here. So structurally, it makes sense to bounce from here. We'll see if we can make a move up into this zone where the next big pocket of kind of volume is 115.5 to 117. Things are appearing like they're angled up from liquidity standpoint. The washout looks reasonable from a structural perspective, but I'm watching out to make sure. I'm watching out to make sure that I don't end up round tripping these. This saying is so unhinged. It's going around in the chat. Take screenshots, not profits. You are so ridiculous. You know, this is a time where I just remind myself Bitcoin's good. Bitcoin's the goal. Yes, there's some chop, decent entry points on newer projects, but I'm going to be protecting my entry points very, very aggressively because things have been hot and heavy on the charts. There's profits to be taken, but it's about protecting those profits, rolling them into Bitcoin, and making it through cycle over cycle. That's where the big bags are created. I love you guys. Love and appreciate all of you out there, even the round trippers, baby. And with that, I'll see you very.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.